Word clouds. This presentation is about word clouds and the strategies that you can use in order to make a very effective word cloud for your classroom. I will be using especially two word cloud generators, and I'll probably mention those during this presentation. There are many out there that I will not touch on. Maybe later on I will create a presentation about the advantages and disadvantages of each of those, but not at this time. So let's get started. Okay, as you look at this first word cloud that I have created, can you figure out what this word cloud is about and how it was constructed? Now, I have given you a hint here. It says elements with atomic number. But as you look here on this word cloud, if you go back to your periodic table, oh yes, go back to that periodic table, and you will go and research and look at your periodic table, you will determine that this word cloud was created by way of the atomic number associated with each element. Thus, the smallest atomic number as far as the element is the smallest word you see in this word cloud, whereas the largest one is obviously the largest. So you say, well, I don't see a lot of discrepancy, but if you look close here, over here to the left, you see the word gold, and it's not that big, but right beside it, it has dubnium, which I've never heard of, and some others. So this is a strategy used based on the periodic table. This periodic table is entitled Engineer Related Jobs, and what I have done here is I have researched and identified various jobs that are connected with the engineering line of work. So if you notice here, engineers is the largest, and then some others are smaller. Usually when you create those, you could create those that you could create this one with just a body of text and throw it in there, or B, you could say that the title, which is engineers, is the largest, and you could actually tell the word cloud to visibly show the different occupations associated with it that are in more demand. So let's just imagine on this one that the technicians are in the highest demand, it is the biggest, and then others are not. Now, this was created from an article, but this just gives you an idea of what you could do with this. Okay, thank you. Now, I do know previously we have been using some Wordle.net word clouds. This one is, I know for sure, is used with Tagxedo, Tagxedo. And the cool thing about Tagxedo is you can throw a body of text in there or even a web page and create a word cloud. And if you'll notice here on the left, the title is called Goodbye Drinks article. I went online and I found an article, and it was talking about drinks in general and the sugar related information. So on this one right here, I chose a cup to represent the visual effect of it, as well as throwing it was an article, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 paragraphs. I forgot, but several paragraphs. And what obviously it will do is it will select the most used words and throw it in your cloud. So what you could do is, as a bell ringer, is you could present this and get some discussion going about some drawing some conclusions, as well as inferring what is this word cloud about, and let students kind of take 5 minutes and talk about it, and maybe even collaborate with their classmates. A great starter to a lesson. Okay, here's another example of a word cloud. This one is a body of text from the novel entitled White Fang. I just took the first paragraph of this, I believe, and pasted it into a word cloud. Now, when you do this, before reading the text, you could possibly do this in the summary, or you could do it in maybe the first page or so, is you can grab some words, throw it into a text, and let the students hypothesize what this book is going to be about. You know, you can look at the words wild, movement, and sled, even frozen in life and laughter, and draw some conclusions about what the theme of this book is the theme in this body of text, and then even after the first few pages or the first few chapters, go back to this word cloud and have discussion. Do you see any words that mean anything now that we've read through a few chapters of the book? Just an idea there for you to use. Okay, this word cloud is a lesson plan. I just took a lesson plan, copied it, pasted it, threw it into a word cloud. Now, how you use this is up to you. Don't have a lot of ideas here to use, but you know, if the lesson plan includes vocabulary or learning targets, objectives, however you want to call it, you could let the students see this throughout the lesson or even the unit plan, and just another visual to capture students' attention. Okay, now there's some differentiation in this parts of speech word cloud, and as you look at it, what is this word cloud trying to do? Take a moment or two and decide what makes this word cloud different. Obviously, I see words like proper nouns and action verbs and things of that nature, but I notice different colors. And as you look at this, and even if you posted this for students, you can determine that all the color is represented by one particular part of speech. And if you'll notice a little closer, the word preposition, proper noun, common noun, adjectives, even action verbs, things of that nature, are a little larger. So I just took some basic verbs here and basic nouns, basic prepositions such as that, and threw them into a word cloud. And you could use this again as a visual representation of your parts of speech. Okay, as I used this and I created this slide, this visual here used in Taxito was the United States map, and when I chose a panoramic view, it cut off part of my United States. But anyway, this is the Battle of Lexington Concord, and I took a body of text in an encyclopedia article, and I copied and pasted it into one, a word cloud, and two, a cloud that would be good representation, which would be United States, because this is talking about things that happened in the United States. So when you look at this, even the color scheme is kind of representative of our colors. Now, not totally, but somewhat. You could take this as a review or as a preview of parts of the Civil War battles before you talk about it or even after you talk about it. Sometimes you don't have to have sentences for students to learn as much as just some highlights, such as bullet point information, and that will trigger the thinking inside. So things like Minutemen, what does that mean? Boston, British, Concord, you talk about Patriots, Lexington, you have all those words, and what is the importance of a particular word in the cloud. This word cloud was used with worded out. I put that in there on purpose, and these are proportions because sometimes it's difficult to find word clouds that allow you to work with numbers. So as you see here, I have the 25%, and I could easily ask a student, how do you change that to a decimal? And they could look at this word cloud and locate your 0.25. You know, another way that you can write a proportion is using your colon to separate your, you know, in a lot of ways your numerator denominator, or however you want to look at it. So this is just a numerical type of word cloud that worded out allows you to do. So as we go into the music side of things, we can go And I have taken the lyrics of the Star Spangled Banner on this word cloud in Tagxedo again. You notice the title down at the bottom right corner, tagxedo.com. And I have used the lyrics and created an appropriate visual with your star and the star burst coming off of it with the lyrics of the Star Spangled Banner. Now I'm going to get a little specific using some advanced features of Wordle. This is entitled Percentage of Cost, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this one. If you notice here, I do have a color scheme, but also I have listed, I went online and I chose someone's grocery list, and they had listed beside the grocery list the amount that they spent on every item when they went to the store. So before you even say that, you don't even say anything about this when you show this to students. And I've done this, and it's a phenomenal 10-minute conversation. Not because I did it, just because of what the students were thinking. So you pop this on your screen, they walk in, say, okay, tell me about this word cloud. Okay, as you start processing and even possibly kind of trigger their brain into what you're wanting them to think and see, students will begin to try to figure out, why is cheddar cheese the biggest? Why is cabbage so small? Or why is macaroni so small? And then you can take this information and get them to figure out, well, what costs more, what costs less. You can even break it down into categories of food groups even if you wanted to. Okay, you can determine from this as well, what do you think the mother, the father, the child, whoever bought these items, what are they going to fix? Where are they going with this food? And some people may say, well, it's just some odds and ends that you need, that you have been missing. And others could say, you know what, looks like they're going to make possibly something with breakfast, and some snack foods, as well as possibly some cavatini or something like that. So you can do a lot of creative discussions with your students on this particular one, and this takes a little bit of time to create, but the effects of it, I think, are very phenomenal. As we showed you in the last slide, there's some differentiating going on. This is entitled Food Webs. So as you look at the food webs, what do you see? I notice I've said webs. As you draw into and infer what we see here, we have 3 webs. Now, the particulars of this are very interesting. Now, I gathered this information off of if you'll go to Google and type in 102 ways to use word clouds, some of the ideas that I gathered on this discussion are on that page. I mean, there's some phenomenal things you can do with word clouds that I'm not even going to talk about. But we have a dark blue, a light blue, and a green food web. You say, well, that's pretty cool. But it goes even deeper than that. If you'll notice, there are 3 large words here. The 3 large words include white shark in the dark blue, raccoon in the light blue, and then hawk in the green. They all have the same association to one another, yet they're in a different food web. So you can take this and show this to students, let them draw some knowledge off of this as far as concluding that these are 3 webs, but also as you go down from your consumers and to your producers, you notice there is all a line of the level of the consuming throughout the web, as we call the circle of life. I was trying to think of that. So this is a very powerful way that you can use a food web. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Go to find wordle.net. Go out there, tagxedo.com. There's Word It Out. There's one on ACBia. Just type in word cloud generators at Google and you'll find even more. Thank you.